Yo, what's up, everybody? How you doing? This is your Coach Renz, and we're going to be going live here in just a second. This is crazy. This is crazy. This world is just not getting it. They won't leave us alone. Period. Until we fight back. And without peaceful protest. Now, for everyone who is just now joining me, let me do a little bit of sharing. Woke up beside myself this morning. You would think that with everything going on, that these police officers would finally get it. That they would be able to go beyond their training. We got to get out and vote. The only way we could change things, change the judges, changes these prosecutors. Here's the thing, with all due respect, Paul, we've been voting for 50 years. For 50 years, they've been asking us to vote, get out and vote, get out and vote. And you should go out and vote. But for 50 years, it has not changed the police brutality that we have incurred in this country. It has not changed the police brutality that was occurring beforehand. It has not changed the slave patrols that was going around that hung black men. I said in the video before that my grandfather fought in wars, other father figures of my life fought in wars, only to come home and be called a boy, to be lynched in their uniform, to be taken advantage of. They freed us as slaves. And then told us that we're going to put the money into Freedman Bank so that you can buy property and live your life and grow and have a family. But then they took that money and gave it to the slave masters, while black people couldn't even get a loan from the bank that they put their own money into. You got 4th of July coming up, and you want me to celebrate a flag. You want me to celebrate a country. How can I celebrate this country? What has this country done for me that allows me to celebrate it? If you look at me and say that America is the freest country I've ever been in, is the freest country I could possibly be in, well, that's a bunch of BS. I lived in Germany for 3.5 years. I experienced less racism in Germany than I experienced in America. And that was in the mid-90s. That should make every Confederate flag holding, don't kneel at the flag white person in America think about something for a second. How does a black man live in Germany that was Nazi occupied no more than about 50 years, 50 plus years prior, feel more confident, feel more free, not endure racism like he endures here in America? I lived in Germany for 3.5 years, and not one time was a black man shot down for being black. Never happened. Never happened. One, the police don't carry guns. People don't have to carry guns. That's the easy part of it. But the real part of it is that Nazi Germany, people in Germany are ashamed of Nazism, where people in America are prideful of their Confederacy. And where does that all lead us? Let me show you where that leads us. Before I go too far into this video, I want to show you what I woke up to this morning. Now, I don't have all the nice little technologies to be able to put these things out there like some people would. People only show up for elections that's for the president. You're right, people do show up for the election for the president, but we got to do more than show up for some voting. We got to do more than show up for some voting. This is why I say repeatedly, voting, sure, vote. Go vote. But you got to do, we black people, we got to do way more than vote. Now, I'm going to go ahead and play this video real quick. I hope that you can see it well and hear it well. But this is what happened in Atlanta last night. Now, some of you may not know what this is all about, so let me break it down for you. Let me break it down for you as to what that video was. Let me tell you, and I'm going to show it again in a few minutes. Let me tell you what that video was so that you can have it in the right context. So, late last night, a black man, I don't quite have his name yet, but I'm going to find it. A black man was sitting in his car. He was intoxicated. He was sitting in the drive-thru of a Wendy's. He fell asleep while sitting in the drive-thru of Wendy's. That was blocking cars from being able to pull in. He was wrong. He was wrong to be intoxicated while driving. He was wrong to be sitting in his car blocking people from being able to go and buy food from a Wendy's. The police was called, and that's rightly so. They should have called the police so that the man can be removed, or his car can be removed. The police show up. The police show up. The man is pulled out of his car by the police, as well as they should have. He's asked to do a field sobriety test, as well as they should have. He fails the police sobriety test. They want to handcuff him and take him in, as well as they should. Now, they have in their possession his car. Keep that in mind. The police have in their possession his car. The man resists arrest. The police tase him, as well as they should have, for resisting arrest. They tase him repeatedly. It's not affecting him, and they continue to struggle and scuffle with the man, as well as they should have kept tasing him. They should have. Now, what the video shows is that this drunk man got the upper hand on these two police officers, and after getting the upper hand on them, he did somehow injure one. I think he tased one of the cops with their own taser. And then the man gets up and he begins to run. He's running. And the cops chase after him with the taser still lodged in him. The man is running, as well as they should continue to tase him. But the man is now running. His back is to the police officers. He is no threat to those police officers' lives. They are no longer in danger. The man is trying to escape. Now, I said earlier, they have his car, which means they have his registration. They have his license plate. They will not struggle to figure out who this gentleman is, where he lives, where he works, the areas that he goes into. They will be able to apprehend him at a later time. But yet, instead of saying he's running, we'll apprehend him later since we have his car. We have his registration. Instead of just continuously trying to tase him or chase him down and tackle him, they decide to shoot this black man in the back. They shot him 3 times. That killed him. He was pronounced at the hospital dead. This man was wrong in being intoxicated, wrong in driving. He was wrong to resist arrest. He was wrong to use the police taser against the police. And he was even wrong to run. But what he was not wrong is to be shot in the back by police officers. And yes, I'm going to say it. If he was white, he would not have been shot in the back by police officers. I have seen many videos where a white man is actively being aggressive towards the police, and they just run in, not shooting the man, trying to apprehend him. A white boy goes up and shoots shoots a church. He's apprehended. But yet, this black man is running from the cops, and he is shot in the back. Let me show it to you again, just to make sure that you see this. They're scuffling. He's wrong. Now, this video has been taken off YouTube already. He's fighting the police. He's wrong. They're tasing him, doing what they should be doing. They're shouting out commands. He's not listening. He gets the upper hand. What sounds like shots. Now he's running. No weapon. Running from the police. 3 shots fired in his back. 3 shots fired in his back. Now, what you gonna do, America? These police officers here in Atlanta, I'm sure they know what happened with George Floyd. I'm sure they know what happened with the teenagers at the AU Center, the Atlanta University Center, who were pulled out of their car and tased and lost their jobs. I'm sure they know those things that happen. Now, somebody who has been in the police force will say something that I may have said once before in my life. As a Marine, we are trained to do certain things and to respond a certain way. There's a natural instinct for us to respond a certain way to police, to aggression, to situations. We train for it constantly trains for it, so that your instinct takes over. So I have to ask the question, how many times have these cops experienced being resisting arrest from other people, black people, white people, and they did not shoot someone in the back? What part of their instincts took over to say, shoot this man in the back while he's running, trying to escape? What instinct is that? If you are in the police force, please tell me what instinct, what part of training do they have you chase somebody and shoot them in the back? I need to know what instinctive training they've given you in order for you to be able to do this. Because most of the time in situations, it's instincts that take over. You know, when I was at Desert Storm, there was instincts that took over. When I was down at a refugee camp in Sudan during Rwanda, it was instincts that took over. When I was in any place where my life was threatened, there were instincts that takes over, and you fulfill whatever those actions are. So I'm trying to understand, and please, maybe one of y'all can help me out, because maybe I'm just, you know, too daft to get it. But what instincts takes over that tells you to shoot an unarmed man who was intoxicated, whooped your tail in the back? Please help me understand this, because I don't believe you can. There is no understanding for it. There is zero understanding of this. There is no rationale that says that you shoot an unarmed man in the back. And in America, most of the time when we see this, we've been taught that this is a cowardly act. And these men, these police officers, they're cowards. They're cowards. This man, in a drunken state, got the best of them. Whether it was their ego or whether it was because he was a black man, they shot this man in the back. Now, because they're white and this man is black, is it going to fuel what is already a raging fire? Yeah, it will. Do I think it shouldn't? No, I think it should fuel it. It has to fuel it. Now, a lot of y'all ain't gonna like this next part. You're gonna think I'm wrong. You're gonna think I'm being racist. You're gonna think I'm an agitator. But here's the deal. Let me give you some pre-thought on this. This upcoming next Sunday is Father's Day, and we'll celebrate it. But right after that, America starts getting ready for the 4th of July. Black people will start getting ready for Juneteenth. These are two celebrations of freedom. On the 4th of July, 1776, we declared our independence from England, is what they teach us. We declared our freedom from colonization and oppression from England, is what they taught us. As a black man, in July 4th, 1776, it only declared that my people will be enslaved for another almost 100 years. It declared that my people will then go through the most heinous Jim Crow laws for another 100 years after that. It declared that those writings that all men are created equal and have a God-given right to pursue happiness was not for the people that look like me. It declared that when my forefathers who fought in the Civil War will not be given the same rights and recognition as those other white men who did. It declared that when my forefathers who were in World War I and World War II would not be given the same rights, that they will fight for the freedom of Europeans, but when they return home, they will still be lynched in their uniform. What it declared is that after World War II, that after we went and we freed people from the tyranny of the Germans, that we will come home and we will be lynched in our uniform. It declared that if we looked at a white woman, we'd be murdered and massacred. It doesn't matter how old you are, little boy, Emmett Till, you still must die for looking at a white woman who comes out and says that she lied. It declared that if somebody declared you as rape, it declared that if we need to get rid of a drug situation in America, heroin, marijuana, that we blame that it's black men who will be fiending for your white women, or your white women will fiend for this white man. So we're going to use that as our methodology of getting rid of these drugs. All it declared is that we will continue, we will let you fight for us in Vietnam. We will let you go to Korea and fight for the freedom and stopping communism from spreading. But it also declared that black men, you will still remain under the caste system that we have placed you in. You see, we may go on TV and back in the 70s and the 60s talk about the caste systems in India and how it is so wrong, but yet still maintain a caste system in America that says that if you're born black, then you're born less than. You're born less than. It was a system that declared that, hey, if you join our religion, we're going to say that there's a black heaven and a white heaven. If you're Mormon, we're going to say that the blacks can only get into heaven if they go through a process, and that means that they will just serve the white people in heaven. We're going to go through that process and make sure we declare that you do not get equal treatment at jobs. We're going to declare a war to separate you from your families. In the same way we did it during slavery, we saw that your families began to come back together. But now in the 70s and 80s, let's take you away from your families by using the welfare system to separate black fathers from black mothers and black fathers from black children as we get ready to celebrate this Father's Day. Let's remember that that is what was happening in the 70s and the 80s. Let's also remember that it declared that we're going to institute a 3-strike rule, a prison system program that inexplicably puts black men in prison more so at a higher percentage rate than it puts white men. Therefore, black men can't get out and vote after they have that felony. They can't get out and get a job. They can't stay with their family and help raise their children. They can't be a part of that. So we're going to continue to break down that family structure. It declared that even up until 2020, we are going to shoot you in the back because you fell asleep drunk in a drive-thru. For all my white friends out there, if you don't understand that your forefathers who waved their Confederate flag, your forefathers who stood up there in judicial system, your forefathers who stood in the halls of Congress, continue to perpetuate a racist system that you are now a beneficiary of and we are the oppressed of, if you do not understand our plight, then you do not understand how to be my friend. You do not understand that I can tolerate many different opinions. We don't have to have the same religion. We don't have to have the same political party. We don't have to have the same ideas on how the world should fix itself. But what we got to have the same idea on is the fact that racism cannot be tolerated. And the fact of the matter is, protesting and voting is not going to change it. So, if you don't get that, you should leave. Point blank period. I have no heart for anyone who doesn't understand the fact that the European white supremacist system declared war on the world 1,500 years ago. This is not new. This is not just about the transatlantic slave trade. This is not just about the trans-Sahara slave trade. This is about the supremacist idea that left Europe and colonized Africa, that colonized India, that colonized the Americas, that went over and tried to take the Silk Road and disrupt the Mongol Empire and the Chinese dynasties. This is the white supremacist attitude that came to the shores of Japan and gave them a year to open up their trade, or we're going to come back with bigger ships and more weapons and destroy you. After Japan just said we want to be isolated. For 264 years we remain isolated. But here's America saying that no, we want to trade with you and you gonna trade with us or we're going to kill you if you don't. This is a system that has continued. This is a war that has continued. And for any black person, and this is where I may lose some of you, if you do not understand that you are in a state of war, then you are confused. You see, you only think war happens when people come together and stand on one side and the other side, and they fire artillery and arms at each other. But war has been happening in the black community against this government, against its people who are complacent in it, for over 1,500 years. And it has been fought on multiple fronts. Politically, you have not been given power, and anytime you seem like you might get some, it's taken away from you. A man wrote in the South, prominent white man, he said that if we allow black men to come home from war with medals on his chest, that he may feel emboldened that he deserves the benefits of freedom in America. So we must not allow that to happen, because it will inspire other black people to rise up, and white people will lose their power. And so the lynching of black soldiers in uniform began. It's the part of the history you're going to talk about. Many black people will hold up the Negro Bible that is on display right now and say, see, this is what they was trying to do. But yet, black people, you do not understand why the Negro Bible was written. You think it was written just for the simple fact that we need to get the black mind enslaved in a religion. But there's a deeper lesson that went with it. If you understood it, the Negro Bible was actually distributed more in the Caribbean than any other place. It really didn't reach America that much. Just a little bit in the South. You see, that Negro Bible was written and inspired because in 1804, the slaves of Haiti said that no more, we're done. We're in a state of war. And they took up arms. They went back to their orishas, and they took up arms, and they killed their oppressors and took their land and gained their freedom. And to prevent other blacks who were enslaved from uprising, they gave them the Negro Bible. They took out anything that said that you deserve freedom, that you are equal to anybody else. And they left in all the parts that says, slaves, be good to your masters, even as Christ is to the church. It left in those parts that say, go make slaves of those of other nations, and you may oppress them and keep them as slaves for their entire life and pass them down to your next generation. And that those born to them should remain slaves as well. That if you beat your slave and your slave gets up after 2 days, then you're okay. But if he does not get up, then that's not such a good thing. It kept all those parts in. All those parts. You see, they don't want you to know that there, in our history, our current modern history, for the last 500 years, and I can go back further, there has only been two righteous wars. Only two righteous wars have ever been fought over the last 500 years. And if you're a military historian on here, correct me if I'm wrong. The first one, the French Revolution. The French Revolution happened because the people were sick of the monarchy treating them like crap. And so they revolted. The people revolted. The French people said no. And the mistake that the French people made is that they took the next level aristocrats and put them in charge. But they formed a level of democracy and freed the French people. The last 500 years, that was the first righteous war. The second righteous war is the one that I've already mentioned. It's the War of 1804, the Haitian Revolt. It was a war where the people said that you will no longer make us your slave. You will no longer brutalize us and treat us less than human. We will no longer submit ourselves to your ways. We will no longer submit ourselves to your agenda. We will no longer work for you for free. We will no longer allow you to rape us and pillage us. And they took their freedom. There is no other war that has been fought that was righteous. Every other war that has been fought, it has been rich, powerful people sitting on the sidelines sending your sons and daughters to fight for their money and resources. I went to Desert Storm. I'm ashamed of it. I didn't go to Desert Storm. We didn't go to Desert Storm for the freedom of the Kuwaiti people. We went to Desert Storm because of money and oil. Money and oil. And we stole. We stole so much from the Iraqi museums when we went in there. We're not in Afghanistan because of 9/11. It's all about money and oil. World War II was not a war that was done in order to prevent America to free the people of Poland and the French people. No, it was for America's preservation. It was the fact that America realized that England was about to lose. And if England lost, then America's money would be lost, because America came out of the Great Depression by providing war material for that war. We didn't get involved because we was trying to save some people. They didn't even know the Jews what was going on with the Jews until after they got there, after America was already involved. There has not been a righteous war. We did not go to Vietnam and Korea to stop the spread of communism. That's not why we went. It's all about money. But now we're in another war, and black people don't realize it. You're in a war. Anytime that you can fall asleep drunk in a Wendy's drive-thru and they shoot you in the back, you're in war. You're in war. And you decide that the way we're going to fight this war is with signs and walking on the streets. You think that you can fight this war by doing as the French did in the French Revolution and voting in the next level of oppressors, the next level of aristocrats. Whether it's Trump or Biden, it's the same, it's the two-headed snake. Same body, different heads. That's all you're voting for. America will not listen to you, Black America, until you take your money and put it into your own neighborhoods and buy your own land. America's not going to listen until you use the power of having your own money, having your own business, forcing the police to then listen to you, because within the profits that you're making, you're supporting a local militia. A local militia. For all my Confederate flag waving, it's about states' rights people, they more than likely have studied a lot about the Civil War. And if I'm wrong, correct me. But the Civil War could not have happened if those states did not have local militia. If they did not have local militia, it would not have happened. Right? Correct me if I'm wrong. But are people idly sitting by hoping that their vote will get it done? You see, I am not in favor of the South in no way whatsoever when it comes to the Civil War. Understand this fully. But the South tried. The South tried and said that, look, North, if you want to tax us for every slave that we have, then what we want to do is allow our slaves to count as a vote. And then the North was like, no, because that would give you more power to vote in whatever president you want, South. So we can't allow that. So the North said, tell you what we'll do. Let us tax your slaves at 3/5 of a person. And then we'll allow you to have 3/5 of a vote for each slave that you own. And that was the 3/5 compromise. So, I know it's about slavery. But understand, the South tried to do it with their vote. The South tried to say that, hey, North, every state should have the right to determine whether or not they want to be a slave state or a free state. North, you shouldn't be able to decide whether or not they're going to be a free state or a slave state. That's not your right. They should be able to do their own. And the South tried to vote it in. But the North wasn't listening. So when the South got tired of the North, the South called on their local militias to stand up against the North. Now, thankfully for my black butt, the South didn't win. And what I'm telling you, Black America, all of America, if you want the police to stop brutalizing, then we have to form our own militia. You see, if you saw my post about this video earlier, I said that things aren't going to change until we fight back monetarily, politically, and violently. The violently aspect of it is to have our own militia in our own neighborhoods. You see, when those brothers went down to Brunswick, Georgia with their guns and stood against the police, they didn't bother them. When you see all these white men walking around with AR-15s, knowing the law, knowing their rights, the police don't bother them. Sure, some police are not going to act as the ones in Brunswick. There's going to be some shootings. It's going to happen. But it's like the saying says, everybody wants to go to heaven, but nobody wants to die. Sorry, somebody's going to die. It happens. There are going to be some shootings. But when a police officer knows that in this neighborhood, there's a militia. In that neighborhood, there's a militia. In this area of town, there's a militia. If they understand that, they're not coming into your neighborhood guns blazing. They know that this militia is on point. This militia understands what the laws are. They understand how to engage the police. They understand what their abilities are. And they abide by those abilities. When they know that, they leave you alone. They police you correctly. They police you correctly. Be careful, you start to sound like the Nation of Islam group. There are some, okay, so a gentleman on YouTube just said, I'm starting to sound like the Nation of Islam group. Here's the thing, and they were right to a certain extent. As long as you bow down and scrape to an authority force that is treating you incorrectly, treating you wrong, they will never change how they treat you. You will have to meet force with force. Now, when you can name to me a situation where people gain their freedom without bloodshed, and it happened overly and abundantly. Don't throw out one little case here and there. It's not going to happen. And then you got to understand the fullness of it. You see, Canada asked for their freedom, but they knew they asked for it at the right time. England had just lost against America. They weren't trying to go down that road again, and they didn't have the resources to fight Canada. You understand? So you got to understand winning. When colonies decide, when people decide to leave these African colonies and get out, it was because they knew the brewing was there, that they was about to get into warfare, and the resources and everything just wasn't there to fulfill that. So there is not a situation where people have just given their freedom. And here's the thing that we're talking about. When change happened in a country, tell me when it happened peacefully. The American Revolution was not peaceful. And as me and my wife was discussing earlier today, it started out as disorganized violence. It didn't start out organized. It wasn't an organization of people to fight this American Revolution that you are so proud of on the 4th of July. It started out as disorganized revolts, disorganized violence. Boston Tea Party that people herald so much. There are many other instances where there was violence, where there was rioting going on, where there was destruction and vandalism going on before the people got involved. And here's the other thing that most people don't really know. The American Revolution wasn't this thing where the people of the 13 colonies were clamoring for freedom. Majority of the people in the 13 colonies were fine with the way things were going, and they were good to go with it and didn't want to separate from England. It is only when war started that people had to choose a side, and some chose to fight for the British. So before we clamor that this is not a way to solve our black issues in America, go back and look at your history. Go look at your history. Go look at your history. Let me tell you something. One of the worst things that happened, but greatest things that happened, is that when I was in the Marine Corps, I was taught, I had colonels who made sure that we studied military history. Studied military history and how things were done. If you don't understand the history of how things change, how things happen, then your battle going forward will always be left wanting, will always be left lingering. You will never get your freedom. It will never happen. Let me give it to you in a way that some people can understand it. And some people won't get this, but some of you will. Two of my favorite military generals. We got Hannibal and we got Patton. All right? Both came out of Africa into the European continent. Hannibal went in through Spain and tried to go over the mountains. Patton came in off Tripoli into Sicily, and then from Sicily into Italy. Trying to take elephants over, or tanks over, the mountains of the French and Italian Alps. Hannibal lost. Going through Sicily, Patton, realizing this mistake, came through Sicily in order to conquer Italy. If you don't get that, let me explain to you this way. If we try to fight a war the same way it's been fought and we keep losing, then we have to change the tactics to a tactic that works. Now, the Iron Charioteer says, so the black militia will just be against police and the white supremacist organization. Exactly. A black militia's whole point is to prevent police from being able to brutalize another black person in our community. It is the exact same way that the Black Panthers originally started out. They observed. They knew how far back they had to be from the police. They paid attention. They knew the laws of how they can move around with guns and be with guns. They knew where they could take their guns. They knew everything to do that they needed to do in order to make sure that they were policing the police. The Fruits of Islam in New York, they knew exactly what to do to police the police. You see, right now, there is no one policing the police except for the police. And if you understand, if you've been in the military, you know there is a code that you don't cross unless something major happens. Unless it's big, unless it comes out into the forefront, you don't cross that thin blue line. In the Marine Corps, you don't cross that blood stripe down your leg. That blood stripe down your leg means that we are blood brothers. We don't cross that unless somebody does something that you cannot help but to turn them in, or it comes out in the media. Otherwise, you don't cross it. So we can't let the police police the police. We have to. But unfortunately, the police, we can get them on tape, and that's good. Keep recording. I know some people saying don't record, but help. If you get too physically involved, now you are... I was arrested once. Because my brother got into I actually got into an altercation. The police didn't see my altercation. They saw my brother get into an altercation. When the police was going towards my brother, I pulled out my military ID, stepped in front of the cop, and tried to talk to the cop before he became aggressive. You know who went to jail? All of us. You see, you can't get I was charged with impeding an arrest or something like that. This was like almost 15 years ago, 20 years ago. But it was over 20 years ago. But I was being charged. I was charged with something like impeding. Now, when I went to court, I beat it. It's not a problem. But the fact of the matter is, I didn't understand that portion of the law. If I had just stood on the side, I would have been fine. But because I stepped in front of the police officer, that made the difference. You see, we got to know the law. Know what we can do, know what we can't do. But we have to stand there with guns. I'm so thrilled that more and more black people are out buying guns right now. Keep buying them. I am like so tripping that there is not one black gun dealer in Atlanta, that and gun range. That just amazes me. But we need to keep buying them. We need to form our militias. And those militias need to be supported by black businesses that are supported by black people. Otherwise, it's not going to work, people. We're in a war. We are in a war. I just showed you a little while ago. A black man got shot in the back running from the police. Was he wrong to be intoxicated? Yes. Was he wrong to have resisted arrest? Yes. Was he wrong to tase the cop with his own taser? Yes. Was he even wrong to run? Yes. But the police had possession of his vehicle. They had possession of his all his paperwork that's in his vehicle. They could have easily put a warrant out and arrest this man later. But instead, they decide to shoot this man in the back. They decide to shoot him in the back while he's running away. And let me put this disclaimer out there. Black, white, don't care. If you get on this or in any other point, justify these cops shooting him in the back because he resisted arrest, be gone from my life. Thank you very kindly. I appreciate you. It was nice knowing you, but kick rocks. Because there is no reason or rationale for them to shoot this man in his back. That's the war that you're in, Black America. That's the war. And if we don't fight this economically, if we don't fight this with militias and violently, then we will lose this. If the only way you're going to fight this is by going to vote, you will lose because you've been losing. You are Hannibal trying to take elephants over the mountains instead of crossing the Mediterranean into Sicily and then into Italy and conquering. That is what the difference is. You can't fight this battle the same way. If you do that, my wife asked me today about going to a protest. Two parts of me hit home. The first part is that my wife owns a daycare, and my immediate thought was, you shouldn't be around a bunch of people and you own a daycare because you don't want to take anything back to the kids. But the second thought to me was, why? Why am I going to protest this with signs and screaming? We've been doing that for over 2 weeks in Atlanta. And what happened? 2 college kids get snatched out of their car, windows broken and tased. A couple weeks later, a black man fell asleep drunk in a Wendy's drive-thru, fought back against the police, ran, and then get shot in the back. They don't hear you. They do not hear you. And the moment you come to understand that, then we can fight this war. Then we can fight this war. Then we can organize our finance. See, everything must be disorganized first. First, it must be disorganized. We cannot fight this war starting out organized. It won't happen that way. The people have to be angered. The people have to get frustrated. I was talking to one of my clients that I was coach, and he said, Coach Renz, he said, I was working with you over a year ago, but I didn't, and I asked him, I said, did you read this book? Did you do your credit this way? Did you do your business plan? I asked him all the things. Did you? He said, no, I didn't. So I asked him, what makes it different this time? What is going to be different this time? I'm not taking on a client and you're just going to do the same thing over and over again. What's going to make it different this time that I should take you on as a client? And he said, Coach Renz, that basically, in a long statement, he basically said, Coach Renz, I done hit the wall. I'm done. And I felt so much pain. I'm so frustrated. I'm done. I can't live this life no more. We must be disorganized. We must be emotional. We must be violent. We must protest. We must riot. We must destroy. Just like the video I did the other day, we must burn this system down so that a new one can be built. We have to get to the breaking point where we say, no more. I'm tired. I'm sick. This cannot happen. Anybody who's ever coached, anybody who's ever changed anything in their life, most of the time the change happens when too much pain has happened. When you reach that point of this is the most pain I can take. I cannot take any more pain, so I must make a change. Everything, most of the things that I changed in my life happened because I experienced so much pain in it. And that's what America has to face. America has to be burned down by the pain that it has caused for over 400 years, 500 years of pain that it has caused in order for America to be born again. And black people, you have to experience that pain. Too easy is it for you to continue to give your money to businesses that don't support your community. Too easy is it for you to scream your outrage but not do a damn thing to make a change in life. Things gotta burn down. Unfortunately, people have died, and unfortunately, some more will die before you start to get it. And as the pain happens, then the organization will begin. Then the true war will continue. But until that time happens, then burn it down. Burn the whole damn thing down. Burn every flag. Destroy every monument of idolatry towards racism. Burn down every politician. Burn down every police precinct, whatever has to be done. Fight back, pull your guns, defend each other, do whatever is necessary. Create a situation where they have to declare martial law. I beg for martial law. Because not until you lose all your freedoms will you truly understand what you have to do in order to gain your freedom. It wasn't until things became such a hell in Haiti before they revolted and destroyed their slave masters. Because this, as Gandhi said, the moment a slave determines that he's not going to be a slave anymore, the shackles will fall. And you will stand up and you will fight. I'm giving you an olive branch right now, America. Here's the olive branch. Black people, support your own local businesses. I don't give a damn you got to travel across the city. Don't care if you got to order online. Support black businesses in spite of all white businesses that you deal with. Only when you have no choice. If there's not a grocery store in your community that is black owned, or a grocery store in your city that's black owned, that is your only choice. Until that happens, support every black business, every black business owner. Upgrade your business. Stop doing business like a hobby. Stop doing business like you in the hood. Stop doing business like it's your side hustle. Make your business your true hustle. Hell, a coat of paint. Upgrade your customer service. Get better products. Treat people correctly. Do business properly so that no one can walk into your business and say that it is subpar. Upgrade your business. And as you upgrade your business, hire from your community. Put money back into your community. Support your local schools and demand from the schools that they teach your children correctly. Black people, buy the house that you live in. Buy the property. If it takes you 5 years to save the money for the down payment, if it takes you 5 years to get your credit right, do whatever is necessary. If you need to hire someone to help you with your credit, if you need to hire someone to help you get yourself in a situation where you can upgrade your ability to make money, then hire someone. Stop looking for everything to be free. Stop looking for it to be free. But you got to upgrade your ability to earn so that you can buy the property. And when you own the property, you can tell the schools what they're going to do and what they're going to teach your kids and be involved in that school. Black parents, stop fighting over the children. Recognize that whether you are the guardian inside the house with the children or outside the house with the children, that y'all are on team parents. And it is your solemn duty to raise that black child in the most safe, the most educational, and the most prosperous environment that you can create. Stop fighting over who she's sleeping with now, who he's sleeping with now. So the hell what? You're not together anymore. Move on and realize that it's for your children and it's not for you. Become a unit, a family unit. Become the village that your children need. Become the village that your children need. And then black businesses and black people and black churches and black mosques and black temples. Support those businesses, support those people, support those schools. Teach true history and not the one that they handed into your hands. And then everyone, support a black militia in your community. Support a black militia in your community. Ensure that you are defended. That militia doesn't need to be disbanded until you know that the police force is under your heel and you not under theirs. Until the police chief comes to report to you at your community meetings, not you showing up at the police office begging and pleading. It's not impossible. I've been to the meetings. I've seen the police officers, police chiefs, police sergeants coming in and giving their dissertation to the community leaders what should happen. And when we have done this, we can create our own political parties for our own benefits in our community. We can create the political party in our local community to be the city councilman, to be the superintendents, to be the commissioners, to be the police chief, to be the sheriff. I ain't worried about the president. Own the sheriff, own the commissioner, own the city councilman, own the mayor, own the commissioners over sanitation, own those people. And you own your community. And maybe we do this, and our grandchildren and our great-grandchildren will be born into a society where it is normal for them to shop in a black business. It is normal for them to see the doctors and the lawyers that they go and utilize that live around the corner from them. Where it is normal that the politicians that they see are the ones that they voted in and that they control. Where it is normal that the police officer that they see at the local gas station that is owned by somebody in your community is another police officer who lives in your community and you go to school and they go to school with your children and you know them and they are your friendly neighborhood police officers, then we can go in peace. Then the playing field will be even. It'll be level. The table will be level. Then we show up to the table with our own plate, with our own food, with our own drink, with our own silverware, with our own chairs, and we are in equal standing, because this country is not going to see us any other way. This world is not going to see us any other way. As long as we keep bowing and scraping and running to the polls and getting mad when we don't get what we want, we will continue to be marginalized. And we will never see our freedom. This is the opportunity, America. This is the opportunity, Black America. They choked out so many others. They choked out so many others. They shot and killed so many others. And it never hit home like this one. But you sat there and watched this police officer with his hand in his pocket, casually chilling, and you saw the life come out of this man. As clear as you see my eyes, you saw his eyes. You heard him scream for his mother who had died 2 years prior. And it's galvanized you. Do not let this be a wasted opportunity. If you're not ready to make a change in your life right now, you will never be able to. But for those who are, now let me take that never be able to back. You will be able to when the pain hits enough. Or all we need is a small percentage. All we need is a small percentage. It was only a few who started the American Revolution. Only a few started the Civil War. Only a few started the French Revolution. Only a few started 1804, the Haitian Revolution. Only a few. All we need is a few. And we just need a few communities to change. And as a few communities change, everybody else gets on board. They can't help it. It's a natural thing for humans to follow a path where they see that they can be successful. So if we see one community change, another community will change. And then once people see the process, they will then jump on board, because then they know it's safe, that they can do it. So all we need is a few. So I'm asking you to stay connected to me. Stay connected to me. My wife and I will discuss more in detail as to what my involvement will be, because I would not make these decisions without her. But stay connected to me. There's a lot more coming, because I am at that point. I am at that point. As many of you know who've been with me for a while, you know before I met my wife, I was leaving y'all. I was moving. I was getting out of this country later. I was not going to put up with it. I wasn't going to stay here. But now I'm married and we have an 11-year-old. And I'm staying here for at least another 10 years. So y'all got me for 10 years, but I'm done. I'm tired. I'm frustrated. I'm at my wit's end. I'm at the breaking point. So if you want to make a change, and I'm looking for every organization that wants to make a change with me. Every organization. I see Jamar is on my Facebook. Jamar, I know he's ready for the change. He's been talking about it. He's been doing it. So if you're ready to make the change, stay connected with me. The change is here. The change is now. I'm sick of it. I'm tired of it. Another black man gets shot in the back. Shot in the back. Was he wrong for resisting arrest? Was he wrong for being intoxicated while driving? Which I hate personally, because a drunk driver ran my mother off the road. Was he wrong for all those things? Yes. Did he deserve to be shot in the back and killed? No. Never. Never. And we should never tolerate that, regardless of who it is. No man or woman should ever be shot in the back. I'm done. Keep in contact. I look forward to talking to all of you guys. I look forward to starting something brand new. Something brand new that will attach to what is already there and that is moving forward. You say you're down for the cause. I see that, Tony. David, I see you say to call me, and I'm down for it. We're going to get it done one way or another, because I'm sick of it. And even though I still plan on leaving this country in 10 years, my kids, my grandkids, and generations thereafter will still be here. And I'd be damned if I leave a legacy that doesn't include something that provides a protection for them. I'm done. I've had it up to here. And if you've had it up to here and you're done, let's move forward. Y'all have a great rest of your day if you can. Good vibrations, good journey. Remember, you got to free yourself to be yourself, because your greatness is non-negotiable.